Werewolf bar mitzvah, spooky, scary, boys becoming men, men becoming wolves. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd watch a Netflix top 10 movie from their self-published top 10 list, and then we call each other on the old interwebs and we talk about it and we share it with you guys, the listeners, and hopefully everything's happy. I am Todd Dober.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and yes, welcome to this spooky, scary edition of the podcast where we're going to be reviewing The Conjuring 2, which is a spooky, scary movie from 2016.
Sure. The Conjuring 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes. And I appreciate your call out to 30 Rock to give the intro here. That is one of the funniest bits, I think, on that show that I've seen.
I 100% agree.
The bit itself is, well, it's...
Just look up Werewolf Bar Mitzvah and watch the video for yourself.
Yes. It really can't be explained, I suppose, other than to say it's ridiculous and hilarious. So
it's much better than their other song that they replayed a lot, which was the Muffin Top song. I was not as much as a fan of that song than I was the Werewolf Bar Mitzvah.
Agree. Well, so we watched The Conjuring 2, having never watched The Conjuring 1, but I think that was okay. And there's, I'm going to say there is, well, I would have said there's no one famous in this at all. But I did recommend it to my friend for a very particular purpose, and he said, I just watched that. The Vera Farmiga is in it, and apparently he has some kind of attachment to Vera Farmiga. So I did look her up. She's been in a couple things, but I don't know that I would consider her super famous.
Yeah, I don't know about super famous, but I do recognize her from other stuff. She was in Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Pretty sure she was in that George Clooney movie, Up or whatever.
Up in the Air.
Up in the Air, yeah.
I'd say that's probably her most famous role, is that one. But, so.
Was that it for people that you recognized?
Yeah.
Oh. The guy who plays her husband, Ed, his name's Patrick Wilson. He's pretty, I would consider him, kind of famous. He's definitely been in a lot. He was Ocean Master in Aquaman. A la Aquaman's brother, if you've ever seen that movie.
King Orm.
King Orm. He was also in the movie Watchmen. He was Night Owl. And I guess those are the things that I know him from. He has been in a lot. But then that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Honestly, for people who I recognize in anything. I'm sure these other actors have done something, but is it worth noting? I don't know. I guess that's subjective.
We say, no, it's not worth noting because we don't know. So we can look up everyone and see, but we're not going to do that. I'm calling it.
Fair enough.
We're not doing it.
Good job.
So,
way to be assertive.
So what's The Conjuring 2 about? Well, I would say there's two focuses here. There is Ed and his wife Lorraine Warren, and this couple, they are demonologists, okay? They, I guess, work with the Catholic Church or something. It was a little tenuous on how that worked, but basically you've got to go into this with the knowledge and the belief that the Catholic Church takes care of demons. And these guys almost are like a vetting source for the Catholic Church to see if there's a real demon involved or not. so that
Yes.
the church doesn't look bad, I guess, by going to cast out a demon when it's all a hoax. So you get introduced to them first, and you get kind of like a preview of what they do, and they go to this place uh, in New York, and they're like trying to contact a demon who may be in the house, and the wife has a vision of this very specific demon nun creature, and then she's pretty freaked out by it. So that's kind of the setup. Like, that's your meeting of them. Then we go over to jolly old England in
Well,
London.
you're leaving out that the house they go to is the Amityville Horror House, which
True.
any horror fan will recognize that house.
It's true.
If horror is your thing, I would assume you know that place.
Yes.
And that's what made, I mean, according to the movie, that's what made that couple famous.
Right.
Like, I mean, they were well known within that small, I don't know, demonologist community. And then once they did the Amityville Horror House, that made them really famous.
And fun fact, Todd, I've been to the actual house.
Have you really?
Yes. I
Did you see any demons?
No demons were seen, and it didn't look the same as it did in various movies. But I went by there with my friend Lonnie, who's like a big horror film buff. We happened to be traveling. Well, it's a long story, but we were in New York, and we went to this house because we were near it. He was like, "I want to see it," so we went and saw it, and it looked like a typical suburban home.
Sure.
So,
Wait, so did it look different because they've changed it, or
Yeah.
are all the, okay, I was like, so the movies represent what it did look like?
I guess so.
Okay.
And it's unclear if it was the actual house or if it was a house that was in one of the movies about it or something else. So I wasn't
Wow.
I wasn't that into it and asking a lot of questions. I was just like, oh, okay, there it is. He was like, they changed it. They put
I mean,
siding
I'm
up.
assuming because you saw no ghosts or demons or whatever that it wasn't the
Right.
house. I would assume they just all hang out on the front lawn for you to see when you drive by, just waving as they're sitting in their ghostly chairs and sipping on ghost tea.
As they do. Yes. All right. So that's Ed and Lorraine Warren, married couple, and then over in England, you've got this other house where there's a single mom, and she's got, I think, 4 kids. I think 4, and they are called the Hodgson family, and they start seeing things going on in the house, and they're supernatural, and they become quite violent, and they're looking for help. So you can see where this is going. They reach out to like local sort of the police, and the police see things going down that are weird, and a local like ghost watcher type guy who's there trying to record things, and then eventually Ed and Lorraine get called in to try and figure out what's going on. And so the house is haunted by like this guy who used to live there and actually died in the house. But once Ed and Lorraine get there, they figure out that really there's something more sinister going on, and the nun ghost or demon that Lorraine had seen at the Amityville house in New York was also involved in this as kind of a boss above the grandpa who died there.
Yeah. Also, isn't there a point in the movie where she describes that one of her first visions as a child or whatever was about that nun too? Isn't there like she's had a couple of visions about this nun or something?
I thought she was talking about an angel, that she had a vision of an angel, but I might have
Yeah,
zoned
I
out
could
on
also
that.
be remembering it wrong. That I mean, I'll be honest, I was not 100% there for this movie because these are not my kind of movies. But I thought she was talking to her husband at some point. I don't know. I'm probably
Eh,
wrong.
you,
Never mind.
okay. Well, anyway, so then this sort of all ends up in this kind of monumental battle at the end to try and save there's sorry, the haunting of this house is centered around the daughter of the
Yes.
Hodgson family named Janet, and so at the end she's in great danger and is, I don't know, she's going to be overcome by the demon or something. I don't know. It wasn't
It's not
clear.
clear. It's not
It's
clear
not
what the
clear
demon
exactly what's
wants.
going to
Like,
happen, but
yeah,
basically she's in danger and there's a big confrontation scene at the end. So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and the thing about this movie is they say this is based on true events or whatever, and so you take that with a grain of salt. But Ed and Lorraine Warren are or were real people, and
Yes.
so are the Hodgsons, and uh, they have things that they've said happened. Whether they happened or
Sure.
not, who knows? But
Well, isn't there like recordings too? Like, I mean, not to say that that's like concrete evidence or anything like that, but they like during the credits they play one of the
yeah,
recordings or
yep,
whatever that I assume is from the actual thing, or
yeah.
otherwise, what's the
No,
point?
there are recordings of some things, but I don't know that. I think the recordings that they actually have are a little bit weaker than what they portray in the movie.
Absolutely, yes.
So, so yeah, that's kind of the deal with this movie. So, checked in or checked out, Todd? What did you think of this?
Well, Matt, first, I think first thing I have to ask you, when it comes to a movie like this, what are your beliefs in this kind of? Do you think there is a supernatural side of life, like with demons or ghosts or anything like that, or is just this something we all like to perpetuate because I don't know, it scares us, and deep down maybe sometimes we like to be scared.
Uh, wow, that's a deep question, Todd.
I know.
I do think that it's possible, but not probable, that there are things like ghosts and demons.
Gotcha.
Um, I think that as we get more and more technologically advanced in this world, and everybody has a phone in their pocket that can shoot like 4K video and take
True.
crystal clear
Yeah.
pictures of anything, uh, I think that the idea that there are ghosts or aliens or anything that we haven't really seen much proof of is the likelihood is going down that we ever will
Fair.
see something that's legitimate. So,
That's a. I feel like that's an incredibly wise answer, Matt.
oh, thanks. What's your answer to that question? Since we're answering questions.
Um, I have no reason to believe that that stuff doesn't exist at this point, but I feel like you made a very strong argument that the chances of it actually existing kind of have to be decreasing with the readiness of technology. You know, if something's flying around your room at this day and age, it doesn't really mean like you can capture that on video real
Yeah.
quick.
And we're
And then
conditioned to do
also it's
that
like
too. Like almost
right.
any crazy thing, the first thing people do is pull out their cell phones.
But I think adversely to that, we're also very conditioned to see something like on a video and then immediately go, well, that's fake, that's CGI, or someone edited that, or something like that. Not to say it doesn't, that it's not an edited video, but I almost feel like the the ability to make videos like that makes the waters kind of murky.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. Honestly, I like, if you're to 100% believe the Bible, then yeah, all that stuff exists. And it may not be, I don't know, as strong as it once was, but it's there. I can certainly get behind that the fact of demons and ghosts and there's something supernatural going on. I've never had an experience like that, but I can get behind that. Also, I feel like I would want to be a demonologist, but then I remember how like such a scaredy cat I am. I don't think I would be an effective one. Like one little jump scare, and I'm like, all right, you guys are good. I'm out. Good luck. I hope you guys make it. So no one would call on me, I don't think. So, anywho, now that we took that tangent, let's get back to the movie because that's what the people come for, not for our supernatural beliefs.
Right.
Although I hope they enjoyed that little side question. So I think for this movie, I don't really there's not much bad I can say about this movie except for the fact that these are not movies for me. Like, and I think I've made that pretty clear for any horror movie that we've had to watch. Is that I don't get. I guess some people like to be scared because it's, I don't know, exhilarating. Like, I just don't feel that. Like, when I get a jump scare, I'm like, oh, I don't want that to happen again. And then 2 seconds later, it happens again. And I'm like, well, why am I still watching this? Like, it's doing the things that I don't want to happen to me. So, that certainly is a big factor in how I feel about this movie. I think the acting and stuff, some of the stuff that makes a movie, I think, is fine for this. The acting's okay. Like, I don't really feel like anyone was really horrible. I'm not saying anyone was stellar, but it was there. Some of the effects are pretty good. Some of them were not, just depending on what scene it was and stuff. I will say my biggest question mark when it comes to this movie is that there's this freaking tall man or something with a hook who shows up in the movie at some point. Like, just like a demon or a ghost or something like that. And it's never, like, he shows up because of, I don't know, he's a nursery rhyme. I don't know what's going on. I've never heard it before. Maybe it's a thing from across the pond. But he shows up and scares a kid, and he shows up again and scares Ed Warren. And I am just confused on, like, why did he disappear? Why can't he go through a door if someone goes through a door to, like, get away from it? It just was very distracting to me. Like, I get the old man ghost. I get the nun pulling the strings behind the old man ghost and stuff like that. And I don't know, the nun has this connection with Lorraine or, whatever. But I just don't get this tall man with a hook. And it was just really, it was supposed to be scary, but it was more distracting to me of just being like, what's going on? I don't understand. And you don't get anything about it. Like, they don't ever talk about it again. It just shows up in 2 scenes and then you're done. But I don't know. That was a huge negative to me. And, yeah, I don't know what else I can say. These movies are for me. I'm unhappy I had to watch it by myself, but I survived. So, Matt, how did you feel about this movie? Which are more, you like these kind of movies? I will say I'm not totally against horror. I can be down to watch any kind of 80s cheesy slasher film. Like, those are more entertaining to me than these type of films. I definitely don't like the found footage, almost camera jump cuts, paranormal activity and stuff like that. And this movie wasn't totally like that, but it borderline on it at times. And those specifically I'm not a big fan of.
Well, I am a big fan of these movies. I would say I'm a huge fan, but I do enjoy a good horror movie. And I tend to have trouble when it's like I respect a movie more that's actually gonna get me jumping than
Mm-hmm.
I do the sort of cheesy thing where you see everything coming and it's like, oh, it's a tight shot. Somebody's gonna come out from the darkness and
Right.
it's obvious and telegraphed. And I thought that the strength from a horror movie perspective of this movie is there were a lot of jump scares that were, I thought, pretty scary. Um,
Yeah.
and, you know, there's a couple different ways that a jump scare can be scary. It can be scary just for the fact of something appears or someone appears when you're not expecting it. But there's also the factor
Sure.
of something appears that's super creepy and like kind of foreign to everyday life. Um, and I feel like they used that pretty well in this. Um, you're right about the crooked man. It is
Crooked Man, that's his
it
name.
is a nursery rhyme, which you kind of hear part of it. They're singing it um,
Yes, yeah.
in the movie, but it is a little bit out of place. Yes, it's good from a creepy, sort of scary, like toy perspective,
Yeah.
and I think that the idea they were trying to go for with this was that um, that the demon nun was trying to use this character to scare the little boy, like with something that he knew, because it was from a toy that he had. It kind of told the story of the crooked man.
Yeah.
So, but I agree, there wasn't a huge connection to everything else with that particular character. And why would that be the character that comes out when Ed Warren is there? That doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
um, so I will say that overall I enjoyed the movie, and I I was I did find myself a little unnerved by it, which is good for a horror movie. And uh, I would say if you like horror movies, you should watch this one because it's pretty good for
Sure.
that genre.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
some minor negative things, but overall, I think they did a good job, like presenting a creepy story. So that's what I'll say about that.
Well, and in general, I think they're up to like 5 or 6 movies in this Conjuring universe. They're not all called The
Oh,
Conjuring,
okay.
but they're like, so there's like The Conjuring 1 and 2, I think. And then there's Annabella, which is, um, so this is, I'm going to say something about the end of the movie, but this is not a spoiler. When Ed Warren is in his like trophy room at the end of the movie,
Oh,
at
yeah.
one point, he's standing in front of the glass case that has like a doll in it or whatever. That's Annabelle,
Okay.
which was supposedly like a possessed evil doll or something.
Gotcha.
That Annabelle, I think, has 2 movies. First Annabelle or Annabella, whichever one it is, and then Annabelle Creations or whatever.
Well, just
And then I
I think
think
there's three:
there's something. Oh, is there
Annabelle
really?
Creation, Annabelle, and Annabelle Comes Home.
Oh, jeez. So much Annabelle. And then there's The Curse of La Lorna, which I think is a movie about the nun,
Okay.
the demon from this movie, I believe. Well, when I remember watching the trailers for it when we were going to the movies, it had a lot of nunnery images in it. So I assume it's the nun.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they're up there with more coming. People like these movies. There's definitely no doubt about it.
Well, good deal.
So, Matt, from 0 to 5, that's the only thing on my mind right now because of how creepy it was. How many crooked men? 0 to 5 would you give this movie?
Well, taking into account,
I want to make it perfectly clear is that even though he felt out of place, the Crooked Man freaked the crap out of me. Like,
yes. Well, I will say that on a scale of 0 to 5 crooked men, I, taking into account the genre of the movie here, I'm going to give this a 3.8 crooked men out of 5.
sure,
So
yeah.
I think a pretty good example of a horror film.
Yeah, that tracks for you and what you like.
Yep.
This is definitely going to be a hard rating for me because, like, I think all the stuff that make a movie, most of the most of the stuff in here is fine. Like, maybe even fine to good, with not too much negative in that department. But as far as like, I'm having a hard time marrying that knowledge and my personal enjoyment of movies like
Mm-hmm.
these, where I don't have that much personal enjoyment. So I'm trying to like stay true to myself, but also, take into consideration that some good performances, some good things were done here. So I'm gonna be as fair as I can, I think, and just say I'm gonna give it a 2. But with an asterisk of that's because I personally don't like these kind of movies. I don't like too many really good jump scares in a movie that I'm watching.
Gotcha.
Because that's me. I'm a baby, I guess. So, and if I'm gonna watch a horror, then I want it to be about Jason or something, and how he, you know, don't have sex around him or else he's gonna kill you.
Right.
So,
Right.
so that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, I think that will leave us at a an average score of 2.7 crooked men out of 5, which is slightly above average, but we were a little skewed in our specific ratings on this one, which is fine.
Sure.
And
Yeah, I mean, I think if you take away the negatives that I have about the movie, which are not really even about the movie, it's just about the genre of the movie, then I feel like we would have had a pretty good score for this movie.
yeah, agree. So, well, before we wrap up, I will reveal to you a non-scary movie that we're going to be watching.
I was gonna say, is it the Conjuring 1?
No,
Apparently,
it's not. Although
they're all coming.
it could be. It's not. The Conjuring 1 has fallen to 6 on the list, so
Ooh,
we'll have to see if we get
maybe
to
people
that.
didn't. I guess people didn't like that one as much as the Conjuring 2.
Yeah. So the movie we are going to be watching is called Bigfoot Family.
Oh, I tried to get Sailor to watch this with me on Friday.
Yeah. Well, you'll have another opportunity to get her to
Yeah,
watch it with you at some point because we're
it's
going to
true.
review it for our
Um,
podcast.
I'm not gonna wait on her. I gotta wait days for that to
Mm,
happen. Although maybe if I watch it, I can be like, "Look, it's not that bad," or "It's not that scary." I don't know. She's turning into one of those people that will not watch movies that she hasn't seen, which is just crazy to me because every movie is a movie you haven't seen until you see
right.
it.
Well, it's true.
So, but I had to work. I had to work a solid 6 to 7 months to get her to watch Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 1 and 2,
Mm.
and now she loves them. Like, and I'm like, yeah, see what can happen if you just open your mind a little bit. I know you're only 5.5, but let's broaden our horizons here.
Yeah. Come on, Sayla.
Yeah, not everything has to be My Little Pony.
True story. Well, before we touch the 30-minute mark on this podcast, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you for listening, listeners, and keep on listening. We'll keep making these.
Da da da
Da
da
da
da da da.
da da da.